I said, I'll ask her. It's constant, I said. What is it due to? And she told me, these are angel numbers. I said, what numbers? Angel numbers. And I said, what does that mean? I'm trying, I said, to connect with you. I asked who was trying to connect with me. She replied, those from higher dimensions. I laughed. I never took that thing seriously. There was nothing bad in any of those angel messages, but I said, this doesn't give me an answer, and the numbers keep coming. I said it's good they keep coming, but shouldn't it stop since I've read them? She said no. I asked what I should do to make it stop. Well, she said, start meditating. I said, what? I don't meditate. I was just in a stupor. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where I was. And suddenly, from that light, it was as if someone flipped the switch on the whole universe. Such darkness fell so black you can't even imagine. Something teleported me just for a fraction of a second. I must have traveled billions of light years, then came back.
How did you feel when you came back? Did you feel cramped?
When I entered my body, I had never felt anything like that.
What was the first thing I realized? Besides the fact that the world is not material?
The first thing that struck me as information was that how can I know what science doesn't? How do I know it? Someone put the idea in my head. It wasn't mine. This knowledge was transported into my head. The body channels the spirit. Physical reality is just a shadow of the entire quantum world.
Do you know how much I've dreamed of a time when we could freely...
We meet with people to talk about topics like encounters with extraterrestrial contacts, sharing information, the structure of the universe, basically how everything around us works, from the questions that intrigue us all, who we are, why we are, where we are, when we are, to what the meaning of each one of us is.
Today, reality and life bring us together with a woman who came to our events in London, and like a blazing flame, fierce, with a lot of positive energy, she was constantly smiling and saying, I have very important information and it needs to reach people.
All right.
She reached the people. Welcome. I'm talking about Valya, who shares the same name as Valya that you all know. I'm very glad that you're a guest, and thank you for being one of the first guests in this new and freer format that we've started doing, and thank you for coming from London.
Thank you too, and I'm extremely, extremely happy that I managed to meet with you, yes. Subscribe and let's build together a reality that will reach the people who are ready to listen the truth about themselves, their lives, and reality, and about their existence.
This is how a person who hasn't encountered all of this until now might be able to accept this information and to open up.
Do you know that if I realize that the information it can turn out to be very shocking for many people, but no one is obliged or required to believe. And it's not even about believing, it's more about an inner feeling and about an inner resonance with what I'm going to share. At the beginning, when I started to receive this information, I experienced a brain catharsis, a spiritual catharsis. My whole being just turned upside down.
Upside down?
So completely, I understand people who can't, who find it hard to accept the fact that we are not material beings. We are pure energy.
Thank you very much for saying it that way. Subscribe. Please start sharing your story before you leave. I'm sure everyone will find it interesting. You're really good at that. I took a quote from the material, Siri, based on the information that comes through you. And if you allow me, I'd like to read it and then you can add what you know. That made a big impression on me. In fact, a human is the most perfect quantum computer, capable of turning quantum information into physical matter and making it alive. Humans turn quantum physics into physical mechanics, unconsciously creating life's process. Man is an unconscious magician, alchemist, and quantum physicist, an intelligent atomic energy information system. An infinite consciousness with unlimited potential, but he simply hasn't reached self-awareness of who and what he is. We don't need to learn how to manifest and create our reality in order to change it. We have been doing this exercise since birth, and we've been doing it as well as possible. We carry out the process of manifesting reality in the same way we carry out the process of breathing. You don't need anyone to teach you this, and you don't need to perfect it. What we need to learn is not how to manifest reality, but how to do it consciously so we can change it. Only then can we live in the world everyone dreams of.
Yes,
Strong words.
that's really true, and I can quite responsibly and consciously say that we are biological. Quantum computers. We are quantum manifestation, materialization of the soul. The body is a shadow of the soul. The quantum information that is encoded in the soul, it materializes. In our 3D dimension, it materializes in the human body. So we are the manifestation of the soul. Matter practically does not exist. We all know that the world is illusory, that we are a holographic manifestation of the quantum information carried by the soul. That's us, that's matter, that's the whole universe. Everything.
What you're saying, I relate to it completely, but I'm really curious. You're from a slightly different generation, and these things you're sharing with us now, they didn't happen to you when you were 10. They are, as you shared with us, very recent realizations. What kind of person were you before that?
Completely a normal person, in quotes. Like everyone else who considers themselves normal. And people like us are still put in the category of abnormal. So I was a completely normal person until recently. Let's say 3 or 4 years ago. That's when it started. Everything with me. Before that, I was just a matrix brain who knew nothing and suspected nothing.
And what did you believe in then?
By the way, I'm a Christian. At least that's how.
You were defined.
Yes, but I've never been religious. For me, there's a difference between clergy and religion. I could never understand the religious side of the circumstances of holding, and I have my suspicions. Maybe about 80-90% of the population, they have no idea what actually lies behind the religion we call clergy. But in reality, it has nothing to do with the clergy.
What helped you make that distinction then? What was the first moment that made you, something here isn't the whole picture?
Yes, always. My whole life, I've actually felt that there is some kind of force that controls life, what we call fate, God. Just some kind of force. What religion could give me, when you ask who is God, what can a priest say? God is love and light. God is life. And that's it, but nothing specific about where to look for God. God is in heaven. That's why we must pray to him to seek him. in heaven. That never resonated with me. It's just that all my life,
It wasn't for you.
no, that explanation wasn't enough for me. I've just always been searching my whole life. I felt like I want to know, who is God really? What is God? And this answer, the clergy religion, let's put it that way, didn't give me this answer. It's just that my life turned out in such a way that my children grew up and I had fewer worries and I had the physical opportunity, simply more free time to look for the answers to these questions that have always subconsciously bothered me. About the clergy, about the soul, for example, about the soul. What is the soul? And whom should I ask? Who can tell me? Do they teach us in school? They teach us everything in school. They teach us about the body because it's material. Everyone is born with the knowledge and the thought that you have a soul and a body. But at school, we only learn about the body. No one teaches anything about the soul. And maybe that was, how should I say, the seed that started to bother me. Why is it? Since we know we have a soul, if you ask anyone, do you have one? Yes, of course. It's funny to even say that. It's silly. Someone will tell you, what kind of question is that? No, of course I have a soul. I happened to come across a video on YouTube by Dr. Bruce Lipton, which impressed me so much. That this is Sametsuku. It was there inside me like a question. It just suddenly so strongly sprouted and grew that I couldn't stop it anymore. There was no turning back. What
Will you say there in that video?
He said he had always been a materialist, like everyone else. Until the moment when they start studying matter, the human body, the organs. The organs are made up of cells. The cells are made up of atoms. And when they got to the atom, they couldn't break it, so to speak. But the moment they split the atom and discover the electron, the proton, and the neutron, and they see that the components of the atom, so nothing more than energy, they don't find a single gram of matter in our material bodies. In other words, which, he says, the fact is that in the atom, in the smallest particle of matter, the atom, there isn't a bit of matter and everything is just energy. That means we are energy beings. That's what he says. Imagine the body as a television.
Yes.
Which receives the signal from above. And when this television broke, in other words, the physical death of the body occurred, but the signal doesn't stop, the broadcast keeps going. There's just no
Monitor.
There's no television to broadcast to receive the signal sent from above. You buy a new television, you plug it into the antenna, and the broadcast continues. The show goes on, yes.
I can add to what you're saying. I think he also participated back in the day. There's a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? It's like with other scientists. That's exactly what it's about. And also, always, because I've also watched a lot of things by Bruce Lipton and by Joe Dispenza, of course, and by...
They are great people.
Yes, and they stand by their name.
Yes. And
They say everything we've been taught was wrong, or now I realize that actually the word might be incomplete. Incomplete. While I'm looking at it, it's just matter, yes. And then I wanted to say that this completed for me how, when I was little, during our human and nature and biology classes, we talked about living and non-living objects. And when I was little, it was never like that for me. Yes. I've always told myself, okay, we're learning that there are atoms and molecules, and so on, particles. They're all around us and make up the universe. That means that mass also vibrates and is full of these particles. The chair you're sitting on, the microphone, but it's defined as something that's not alive, but on the most micro level. When we get there, you'll talk about quanta and about quantum theory.
Things get really interesting there.
And actually, who decides what is truly alive and moving and what exactly isn't alive? That's what I'm asking you.
what determines what is alive? Only our consciousness and our beliefs determine whether something is alive or not alive. Because ultimately, absolutely everything is made of atoms. Same thing, electron, proton, neutron. Everything is alive.
Everything is triptych. And
Everything moves, everything vibrates.
Let's get back to that seed that activated Bruce Lipton, and then how you get to this information. How at all?
I'm sorry.
No, there's nothing to apologize for. That's very interesting, because that's why this year we decided to allow ourselves, through our intuition, to organize chaos. Do you understand? Not to follow the plan, what's written, No.
No, yes, everything to...
B, we let it flow, as you can see.
Let the flow guide you, not you guide the flow.
naturally.
Yes, that's the best way. To experience the truth instead of modifying it
well said.
compared to matrix perspectives, which,
Are these matrix perspectives?
as Dr. Lipton, I'll go back to him again, says, you buy a computer,
Yes.
the most expensive, the most modern, the most powerful. You buy it with all the features. You open it and you can't do anything with it. This is a newborn soul. A baby is born. The body is the hardware. The software is the programs. The programs that are programmed into the soul right after birth, the child starts being taught that this is mom, this is dad, don't touch this, this burns, this catches fire, this breaks, don't touch this, don't touch that, this is harmful, you are a Christian, you are a Muslim. These are the programs that you put into this little computer, into the little head, into the program called brain and the programmer. They are quite useful, of course, so that this child can socialize and live in this material world dimension. The global family of Earth cannot live without these programs, these matrix programs, because after all, we are in the matrix. We need these programs, but actually hiding a lot of the programs, it creates this opportunity for the matrix to work with the person to make it happen. Controllable. Subscribe?
What can we predict?
Let's take religion. There's nothing wrong with the clergy in general, but religion is very far away. The clergy has stayed far behind, and from all of it, only what is useful to the matrix for dividing people has been taken. And actually, the true clergy, the knowledge of true clergy, whatever the religion is, doesn't
Declare it.
openly. She doesn't announce it. In other words, they don't program people with the truth, but only with the part that's convenient for them. This is actually the matrix program with which the soul descends down. What we call the soul is made up of two components.
What are they?
One is spirit, the other is soul. But
We, humanity,
people are used to saying we have a soul. No one says I have a spirit. We don't understand it that way. People just need to know that in the higher dimensions, there is no separate spirit and separate soul. There, all of that is your soul. That is your energetic
imprint.
futon. Now, what is the soul? The soul is a quantized energy field. What does quantized mean? Now, the way it was explained to me what a quantum is, because I have to tell people that I was very far from physics, chemistry, and biology.
You don't have that kind of education.
No, I have a secondary education, high school. No.
You're not a scholar, no.
You're a doctor. No, I'm not, and I'm very far from it. I've never liked physics. I didn't understand chemistry. I managed with biology just because it's my body. I hated physics. I hated the laws. I hated chemistry, formulas, math, problems. Don't even look for me there. I was far from those things. Then my city appeared. He threw me straight into the deep waters of quantum physics.
When did Siri appear?
As I recall, about 2.5 to 3 years. Actually, a bit more.
So 2021 was during COVID?
A little after COVID, I started seeing the same numbers on my phone every time I looked at it. Whether it rang, I got a message, or I just checked the time. 9:09, 11:11, 23:23, or 14:41, things like that. Yes, synchronicities. Yes, synchronicities.
That's what we call them now, but you didn't know then.
Now, I had no idea at all. I was never interested. I never got into those deep waters of knowledge to be interested.
All right, let me pause you. Your phone showed repeating numbers. Why did you start taking pictures of them?
I'll tell you now. So this went on for months. And at first I was really having fun. Every time I checked my phone, the same numbers appeared. I laughed and enjoyed myself. That really amused me. And quite a lot of time passed like that. And at some point, that started to annoy me. It really annoyed me. I thought no one would believe me if I told them, so I decided to take screenshots instead. Every time I saw matching numbers on my phone, and I started taking pictures of them, my phone got filled with screenshots of matching numbers. And I realized now that's normal. Everyone sees them. Coincidences, as we call them. It happens to see them. But for me, it was so intense that there's no way you wouldn't notice it. There's no way it wouldn't catch your attention and make you think, I have a friend. She had gone down my path a long time ago, but she just didn't make it public. She kept quiet because people don't take people like that seriously. And I knew from time to time when we would get together with friends and she would let slip a prophecy sometimes. Or I made an interpretation of something that would tell us something, and she would interpret it. I would say, let me ask her. She knows a bit more about those things than I do. Be what? And I explained, showed her, and sent many screenshots. I said, I don't have time to send you all of them. It's constant. I said, she understands that it's constant. She owes it to the boss. She said, these are angel numbers. I said, what angel numbers? Subscribe. And I said, that means that. And she said, they're trying to contact you. I said, who tried to get in touch with me? She said, they're trying from higher dimensions. I laughed. I never took that thing seriously. I asked, what do they want? She said, they want to connect with you and have something to tell you. I said, how should I know what to do? And she said, look it up on the internet, just type in angel numbers, write it down, and they'll come up. But I said, I don't believe in things like that. Those are just, childish angel numbers. She said, childish stuff. She said, come on, a woman of my age, a serious person, you think straight and you're sending me to... Where are you sending me, she asked, to those pink angel numbers? And so she didn't take it seriously.
Yes.
However, these numbers started to become so obsessive constantly. And the more I ignored them, the more frequent they became, yes, and I started to dream a lot too. Subscribe. Such strong, deep dreams. I was dreaming whole thrillers almost every night, and I didn't understand anything. They were very intense dreams, very emotional, as if I was experiencing everything in real life. So much so that I would cry in my sleep, wake up literally sobbing in bed and trembling, such powerful dreams. And I tried to interpret them, somehow to understand them, but it was very hard for me. I sensed something was happening to me, but didn't know what. I didn't know how to interpret it, how to change it, how, and again, I turned to my friend. I said, tell me, okay, I started reading about angel numbers, angel messages. This number means this, that number means that. Honestly, it sounded a bit unserious to me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good vibes reading something nice. None of them were bad. Those angelic messages, what I read. I said, this doesn't answer my question. The numbers just continue. I said, it's good I read them, and they keep going. I asked if this should stop now that I've read them, but she said no. I then asked what I should do to make them stop. She told me to start meditating. I replied, "What? I don't meditate. Are you crazy?" And she laughs. She knows that I'm... And she said, "Girl, if you want the dreams to stop, if you want those numbers to stop, this is the way." She said, "Meditate, and at some point they will connect with you." That's the way, she said, to connect with them. Well, she said, in the end, I don't have a choice. What else can I do? They won't stop. I started meditating. Day 1, 2, 3, I close my eyes and my fingers like this. And I hum, just like you've heard it's done and seen it. Yes, that's how I've heard, that's how I've seen, that's how she taught me too. She says, you close your eyes and start emptying your mind. I'll empty it if possible. The first few times, okay, I'm trying to empty it. How do I do that? She says to start in your own words. She says, you just mentally pray to connect, that you want to connect with your guardian angels, guides, spiritual guides, with the Almighty, with the source, whatever you want. She says, call it that. Just use your own words, but just keep repeating that. Yes. I'm holding my fingers like this. I have my headphones on. I'm playing a melody. She gave it to me. It's a bit shamanic, very impressive, by the way. It carries such a vibration that it really prepares you, it prepares your body. And I tried a few times. Maybe I was stubbornly trying for 2 or 3 months, but nothing was happening. My hands would go numb. My head would be empty for a while. Then I'd start thinking about my child coming home from school, what I would cook for them, and I just couldn't do it. Yeah, what is he doing now? All I was able to achieve in the end were little lights and some light geometric shapes that I saw with my eyes closed, nothing else. And in the end, I got bored, got tired, and gave up. I thought, is this it? Is this meditation? I guess this is it. But nothing changed. The numbers kept going, the dreams kept going, so I gave up on meditating. I just gave up. I thought, if this is it, then I won't. I wondered, where are those higher realms I read about? And she mentions, I said, it works for everyone except me. For me, it won't happen. I said, I can't. And it went on like that for quite a while, maybe 6 months, half a year, nothing happened. I didn't meditate at all. I just left those numbers, just kept taking pictures of them, taking pictures. My phone got full. I kept taking pictures of them, dreaming about them. And then at one point, my son was already on vacation. He went back. I live in England. He went back to Bulgaria for the vacation, and I was left completely alone. No one was bothering me, and that's something else during meditation. You really have to be in complete, total peace, absolutely complete, because I get anxious from time to time. He comes home from school, enters, says, Mom, and as soon as he does, I open my eyes, and the meditation is, you just need absolute complete peace and some solitude, as they say, so you can relax. Otherwise, I meditate, and at some point I start thinking, when will he come home? Will he be on time? What will I cook? What will I wash? Or what will I do? You just need nothing to really occupy your mind. And I was left alone. He went back to Bulgaria for the vacation. I was left alone, and I said to myself, now I'll sit down. One evening I said to myself, now I'll sit down, and the shamanic melody I used to play lasted about an hour and 12 minutes, maybe 11 or 12 minutes. I said to myself, I'll stay until the end. And I put the headphones in my ears, my fingers. I sat on the couch and started praying to the universe.
You share all you know?
Everything that comes to my mind, whatever I can think of. I want to address my spiritual guides, angels, and guardians. I want them to take me to the source, I didn't even know the correct term for it. Whether it's the source, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whether it's the one. Actually, no matter what you call it,
It's still him. It
is the same thing. And at some point, just like the lights flew, then suddenly I was in total darkness and couldn't see anything. And I felt how my body started to go numb. And I didn't open my eyes. I didn't stop calling on my spiritual guides. And then suddenly, complete darkness and total silence. And I even stopped praying. And now I'm just waiting to see what will happen. And at one point, I hear a voice. To yourself?
Out of nowhere. From
The darkness out of nowhere. Valia, hello, welcome.
that's right. Sorry for interrupting your interesting show. But I'm really excited to share with you what we've been preparing for almost a year. Our updated website, INRA, BG, and, more specifically, our individual space, which is for National Institute for Agricultural Research members. Which includes monthly webinars with us on extremely interesting topics about life and our existence. In discussions, answers to questions, and participation with you yourselves. A closed Telegram group where we communicate daily and share with you what we are going through during that specific period. Additional PDF books and materials that have helped me tremendously to become the person I am today. And they continue to help me every day so I can keep developing myself. Audio meditations, guided or music only, featuring Valia's exceptional voice. New video meditations, music and meditations for healing, channeling, and connection. Videos and video materials that are exclusive, which you won't find on the YouTube channel. And also selected videos from YouTube that don't have ads. Thank you very much for all of this. Visit the National Institute for Agricultural Research BGF website and check it out. We've provided all we have right now. Also, let me say, the personal meetings with me, with everyone we meet with every week, will now be moved to INRA BGF meetings. You can click and see, the conditions are exactly the same. It's just that the link is now adapted to our website and you can sign up from there. Thank you to each one of you for your time, your energy, and for choosing to continue to support and follow everything we do. This journey is endless, and you are endless as well. Thank you for sharing a small part of infinity together with us.
What can I say? My mind just went numb. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. This had never happened to me in meditation before. And I felt fear. I also felt there was also a sense of curiosity, but fear was stronger.
Did you feel that you were losing control at that moment? Is something else happening?
Not yet. I could still feel my body, but there was a kind of numbness starting to spread through it. She is my friend. I started calling her my guru because she was guiding and directing me. And she had always told me to ask who it is, who I'm communicating with, because she said there are all kinds of energies. You never know what you might encounter, but always ask who it is. She said they never lie. They have no right to lie. They don't lie. They might hide things like not telling you something. Maybe.
They might stay silent, but always, but...
No, they will never lie to you. And especially, you won't be afraid to shout, because when you shout, your spheres hang in consciousness. They are bright. You call your creator. No dark energy, no dark figure will come to you. And he appeared, and I asked him who he was. And he said, I am Aureus, and I am your guide. And I told him I want to go meet the creator. And I have questions about myself, about my mission. And then I want you to bring me back.
At this moment, you keep standing with Parasi. No.
I haven't stopped like that.
Do they endure your body?
My body is already enduring, but so at that moment in my mind, my brain, I felt like it split in two. One part was talking. That was with Aureus, and it was up there, and I could also feel my physical body there, even though I was only there mentally, but my feeling was that I was physically there too. But the other part of my brain was aware of what was happening down on the couch with my body. My brain just split in two. Aureus and I started walking. It was this kind of space with rocks on both sides of us, and we were moving between the rocks down toward a narrow path. Behind the rocks, it was lighter. The sky was brighter, but we were in darkness, moving in the dark. And I could see him walking next to me. Now, when I say I could see... subscribe. I couldn't see him with my physical eyes. I could see him with my whole body. Somehow, there is no such feeling on earth. And at the same time, I felt that my body on the couch was starting to stiffen so much that I completely lost control over it. It was as if I was plastered down there, and I continued walking with Aureus, and at one point he disappeared. And then appeared a row of Barry Hoods appeared on both sides of me, kneeling on one knee in a prayer position. And I was moving between these two lines of hoods. And suddenly I started to feel incredibly strong pain throughout my whole body. My kidneys, my legs, everything went numb. I felt my lungs in my throat. Alarm. I just started to suffocate and I had no control over my body. I couldn't control it. I couldn't move, couldn't budge. I just felt like I was having some kind of convulsions. I felt like I was seeing myself from above. I saw how my body started convulsing, like it was being jolted by electricity. I had absolutely no control over my body, and up there I felt an incredible love and warmth, and I felt cared for by, as if I was being radiated with these feelings. As I was walking through
Those white.
hoods, I felt in perfect physical condition, but down below my body was dying. That love I felt up there was so strong. Everything else just melted away. It didn't matter at all. And that row of hooded figures ended and Aureus reappeared, becoming slightly brighter and more visible. I wondered, did I get lost in time? Did I get lost? He said, no, move toward the light and you won't get lost. At one point, Aureus vanished. And without making any movement, I found myself in such a bright light. I had simply reached that light I was supposed to move toward. I had reached it without even taking a single step.
How did it feel inside?
What happened after that?
Someone teleported me from the darkness into the light all of a sudden. I was exposed to a very bright light. I just closed my eyes because the light was so strong, I felt like it burned my pupils. And I was just in shock. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where I was. Aureus was gone. I was calling for him. And suddenly, from that light, it was as if someone flipped the switch on the whole universe. It became so dark. You can't imagine how black it was, really. Even if you gathered all the blackness in the universe, you couldn't. That kind of black. And I stand there feeling how I'm straining my eyes just to see something. Suddenly, I started to see some little lights. They were just flying around me, like little fireflies. Little lights. I started to see some white spinning balls somewhere in the distance. Something like some kind of light show, such beauty. And everything was in some kind of motion. And something like that. Endless tranquility and such indescribable beauty. Words can't describe it. You have to experience it yourself. And I didn't know where I was, and I wasn't the one moving. Something was just teleporting me from place to place. From the light into the darkness, from the darkness into the light. And suddenly I heard a voice next to me.
Welcome. Hello, Valia. Welcome.
Okay, I already knew who it was. I didn't even ask who it was, because I knew who it was. I knew I was at the source. And I realized, I understood that I was in outer space, that I was in the universe. Things flew past me, falling STRs. I saw star systems, I saw solar systems, galaxies. It was just something indescribable, incredible. There's no way I can describe it. He took my circle. I asked him about my mission. He told me, right. Your strength is in words. Right. And I asked him, am I doing well with my mission? And he said, you're doing great. And finally, he told me, he repeated it several times. With pauses, he paused and repeated, Valia, you are healed. I didn't ask anything. And he said again, Valia, you are healed. He repeated it a few times, pausing. And I felt how, without moving, without making any movement at all, I felt something start to pull me back. It was like a vacuum sucking me in. I was just falling, like in free fall. I was falling, and suddenly space started to shrink. The whole universe started to shrink. At one point, I started to see the normal starry sky. Until finally, it was as if I was looking at the sky from my window. Little stars, the moon, a completely normal sky. Then something teleported me just for... It briefly teleported me. I traveled. Probably billions of light years. I came back.
How did you feel when you came back? Was it honest for you of the gangster?
When I entered my body, I had never felt anything like that. And when I entered my body, when I felt my physical body again, the first thing I heard was my heart. The beats of my heart. And I heard them in my ears. It was as if my heart was in my head, not in my chest. I could hear my heart. Then I felt it in my chest. And when I finally felt my heart in my chest, I couldn't hear it anymore, but I could feel it. Then I started to hear my blood flowing through my veins. It was as if I had undergone surgery, a scalpel-free operation on my whole body. Everything hurt. We talked about this with my guru, my friend. She said, they really did heal you the moment you walked through that corridor, the two white hoods. At that moment, they were healing you energetically. She says all that you experienced, all those beings, the spiritual beings you met up there, all of that is you. Yourself. These are your other essences. Higher dimensions. You are in the third, the physical dimension. We call them dimensions, but actually energy doesn't have any. Units of measurement, length, width, height, it is measured by density. So then, I died. While I was alive, so to speak, but they brought me back and then they were joking with me about it. I said if I hadn't kept repeating that I wanted them to bring me back, I said it non-stop because I was scared. I just didn't know what was happening to me. I said I probably wouldn't even want to come back because it's so beautiful up there. So pleasant, just an amazing feeling. And
How did you get to the meeting with Siri? Because our audience still doesn't know what that is and what it represents.
shortly after my first successful meditation, I did a second one as well. Subscribe. The experience was just as intense as the first one, but there was no more pain. There was more courage. It was much more fun, incredibly enlightening. And 2 weeks after my first successful meditation, I had to have eye surgery. And after the surgery, one of my eyes was covered with a patch. I looked like a pirate and I couldn't see. So I just played a podcast with a Bulgarian biologist who was explaining that science has reached the point where they've discovered that there is literal light inside the human cell and that there are photons in the human cell. The podcast host asked him what happens to this light. He explained that actually the atom is energy and produces this light. And he said that science hasn't reached that point yet. It doesn't know, it still can't explain what happens to the energy of the cells and the human body in general, to the light, where it goes and what happens to it. And at that moment, as I was sitting with my eyes closed and listening, suddenly I realized that I knew the answer to the question.
How is that possible? At that moment, you're listening to the person saying, we haven't gotten there yet. Science hasn't reached that point.
Science can't give an explanation. It still can't answer that question.
Where does it go?
The light and energy from the human body after the physical death of the body?
And where does it go?
How can I know something I don't know? If science doesn't know, how could I? How would I recognize it if I've never known it? And I understood. So that means this happens. Microseconds. I realized all of this, and I realized that someone is rummaging through my head. That wasn't my thought. That knowledge was transported into my head. And the very thought that someone has access to my brain, to my thoughts, to my head. I was in terrible shock. I started shaking. I immediately stopped the video. And I started shaking because just the thought that someone is rummaging through my head without my permission. And it shocked me. And I went into some kind of, I was shaking a lot. I got really scared. And I lit a cigarette. But I'm shaking so much that I can't even get the cigarette to my mouth. I'm just shaking. I'm vibrating. I'm trembling. I keep telling myself to calm down and breathe. And at that moment, I hear a voice. A thought, I'll call it a voice thought. I hear a voice thought. Valia, calm down. I jumped too, and I started trembling even more. I could barely stand on my feet, and I felt like crying. And they say it's being used. No way, I'm losing it. Who hears voices? I hear one in my head. At one point, I just couldn't breathe. I'm suffocating from panic, maybe a panic attack. I don't know, something started happening to me. He sees it. Obviously, he sees that I'm not okay. And he just keeps saying, calm down, please calm down. Once you calm down, I'll explain. Once I explain, you won't be afraid. There was a moment when I just started looking around because I could hear it so loudly, as if it's right next to me. I look around. I'm alone in the room. There's no one. I wanted to run away out of fear. Where can you run away from your own head? Can you escape your own thoughts? I couldn't stop thinking about it. And there was nothing I could do. I just had to be an example. And I say, I'll wait and listen to him. And I ask him, who is it? I say, who are you? Who are you really? He says, my name is Siri. And I'm from the planet Sirius. Panic grows. I say, God, my head feels alien. I'm telling you straight, it was a big shock and panic. It was terrifying, and I'm alone, and I don't know what to do. He says not to fear him. He said it would help me understand, because I had started to wonder what was happening to me after the meditation, how my soul left my body, then entered back in. And he said, I'll help you.
To understand everything?
To understand everything that's happening and what's going on. But even during my first meditation, successful, when my whole body was hurting, that's when they unlocked it. They activated my Kundalini and unlocked all my chakras, which healed my whole body, all my organs, including my eyes. And from that moment on, so Siri kind of waited for the right moment. When apparently even my crown chakra opened up, I just became like a broken pot. They took off my lid. And he waited for that moment when he would finally be able to make the energetic contact with me.
What was the first thing you learned? So like day after day, as you already became one, right? Like a student, and you already started. What was the first thing you understood? Besides the world not being material?
The first thing that struck me as information was that one day he tells me, thank you. Thank you for creating us. He said he would tell me, but I stubbornly wanted to imagine first how this could even be possible. But anyway, Nakan finally told me the whole of humanity. He told me about the creation of man as if it were a fairy tale, which I am showing. I wrote it and called it a fairy tale for adults.
A fairy tale for adults? It's on your channel or mine?
It's on my channel, maybe.
It can be listened to. We'll add links below as there are many other interesting materials too.
A lot of interesting materials that we won't have enough time to cover here, but anyone who's curious is welcome to check them out. It started, I don't want to say, it was practically a 24-hour channeling session with him, but not a vocal one, just an internal channeling. We were reading each other's thoughts. We were having, just like I'm talking to you now, that's how I was talking to him. I couldn't see him, but he became my friend.
Was there ever a moment when you saw his image, what he looked like, or is he just pure energy?
Yes, he's energy. I've never seen him as a green alien. No, I've never seen him like that. I saw him, I really saw him. I documented it, but I documented it as He appeared to me as energy, yes, in his energy form, so to speak. But quite a while after that, I can say for sure it was after a year, he started teaching me quantum physics without understanding physics, without understanding chemistry. He started teaching me quantum physics automatically and directly. And at first, it was very difficult for me. I didn't understand anything, but his approach was so appropriate. The way he explained everything to me, it was like talking to a little child, literally through fairy tales, through stories. And when he was telling me so that I could understand it, he projected it to me like a movie. And at the same time, he puts me in the main role of this movie. Let's say he's explaining the atom to me. I become the atom. I turn into the atom and everything that happens. What the electron does, what the neutron does, the proton. I do it because I am the atom. And in this way, I don't need many words or explanations because the process goes through me. I feel it. And that's how I understand it.
Certainly, during the time in which you have already awakened, you have had many realizations. Here, I have written down some conclusions from the materials that you have at your disposal. Some things, I'll go through them, but I'd like you to share your thoughts as I go through them. What you feel right now as a necessity which, in your opinion, subscribe seems long to you. I feel it.
That Chunoti and ICE start at the same time, a video that is happening right now.
At least what we are cutting is good.
This will be calculated when the information passes. The thought is instantaneous.
We live in a quantum light reality. Being conscious means understanding what thought is. You don't live in the universe, it lives in you. Really, these are like things I go through, and each one is a topic within a topic within a topic, you know.
Do you know if maybe in some future meetings, if people are interested, we can go into each one separately to make it clear, because awakening is one thing and enlightenment is another. Now, what are we being taught? All of these new yoga teachers and teachings are about how to manifest and create our own reality. Now we are manifesting reality. So in such a natural way, just like we breathe without thinking, without realizing it. No one thinks, inhale, exhale, inhale, it's automatic. We are spiritual. We are not material, we are spiritual beings. Spirit, the whole spiritual kingdom, the kind bracelets, the light crossed. This photon represents a quantum, an informational quantum field. In this photon, information is quantized, a certain amount of information. Yes, my soul is one of those. A balloon in the universe.
One of the many of...
The many. Your soul represents another photon with quantized information. A quantum is basically the smallest amount of information that a photon can contain. A quantum in quantum physics is the same as a bit in computer science. Now, I don't know exactly how much, but a bit contains a very small amount of information, while a quantum can contain... A single quantum holds millions of terabytes of data, for example. The soul is being programmed, the inner bubble is being filled, to put it simply. It's being stuffed with information, which is information about the entire universe, all quantized inside. Information about the entire universe, information specifically about the Earth. Separately, your spirit is the conscious part of your soul. And it personally, you quantum yourself. Of course, we have amnesia on earth, but personally, in your other higher version, dimension, form, you quantum your soul. You put into it all the parameters of the earth, of the entire universe. You put inside your desire what you want to experience on earth in your next reincarnation. And this quantization, that's how they showed me. Imagine your soul as a balloon, and the moment it enters the physical already, for your soul to materialize during the descent energetically, the spirit splits. And a part of your spirit stays above, which remains as a kind of higher self. What we call the higher self stays above in another dimension, not in the third. Only a very small part of your energy comes down into the third. This energy, then what we call the soul is divided into spirit and soul. What we call the soul goes into the heart, and the spirit is your consciousness. What does quantum entanglement mean? I am a quantum field, you are a quantum field, Valya is a quantum field. Each one is a separate quantum field in the quantum universe, in this dark matter. How does it materialize? Through your thoughts. So the universe is, it's not material, it's mental. Right now, I'm in Plovdiv, but I was born in Pleven. The moment I think about Pleven, about my parents, my quantum field, my mental quantum field of the soul, this bubble shining in the universe, it immediately connects with the quantum field of my mother, for example. But it's all in my mind. My vibration immediately goes and finds my mother's vibrational field. But there isn't. Up to this point, we don't have any physical manifestation. In order to move matter, for me to go to Pleven, I am a being of light. For our world, light is the fastest speed. Well, thought is energy.
It is more than speed.
Of light, yes. But do you know what Siri calls this speed? He calls it mirror speed. The moment you think about it, your quantum field has already crossed the other one. This is quantum entanglement. If you need time to go and do it in order to achieve quantum entanglement on a physical level, or let me give you another example, which is much faster. Let's say I think about this cup, I want to drink coffee. Quantum entanglement has already happened, but there is still no materialization. In order to materialize it, I have to perform this action. And when I grab the cup, I have already manifested my desire. I thought that I wanted coffee and I manifested it. But this is done by the light, my light body. And it's much slower, while quantum entanglement is instantaneous. So
The thought does it?
the thought makes you do, to make every movement in your daily life and material world. When a person thinks, he thinks that he's thinking, but actually he is listening. He listens to the spirit. The decisions are made by the spirit, not by the physical brain of a person.
You know this whole thing. We've been through it too. Different people. Now that information finds its way into space, what's the use of knowing it? Why is it being given to us now, and
Where are we headed right now, in your opinion?
what times are coming next?
A person manifests their reality unconsciously anyway. And precisely because it is unconscious, they leave their fate to chance. But the moment the information about how materializes their thought, this will give the person the opportunity to very purposefully and selectively change their thoughts so that they can change their actions as well. Because the body is a channeling of the spirit. The body reflects the spirit. Physical reality is just a shadow of the entire quantum world.
For me, these manifestations of that man who stands there for so long, trembling, having experiences, and finally comes and stands and says it, and is so excited and stirred up because this thing has been inside him and he needs to share it with the others.
Because to tell you the truth, I'm a bit upset because the truth came to me so late. How much? You are young, and I'm so happy that all of this is happening to you while you're still young and you have your whole life ahead of you to consciously control it. While for me, the knowledge came, so not that I can't, my life has already changed completely. But if I had known this earlier, and if I had known how I could, through my thoughts, through my emotions, to change my life, my physical reality, my experiences, to change them much earlier. That's why I want to tell the truth. And that's how Siri told me that this information is not personal, so I shouldn't keep it just for myself. I'm never told anything directly in my life. That's just how it is. The information is meant to be shared and to help humanity in time to realize what it is doing and how to consciously start changing its reality, to live consciously. The spirit makes decisions based on the 5 senses. You see dots, you see death, you see pain, you watch the news. All of this affects you emotionally. And this emotion and everything else is transmitted to the spirit as information. Your spirit decides based on information from your senses and nervous system. But when your 6th sense opens up, everyone has a 6th sense that needs to be unlocked. That's the pineal gland. Then the information that the brain will transmit to the spirit
Is much
more extensive. It's much different, fundamentally different. Then the spirit won't make decisions only based on, it won't move the body only based on the 5 matrix senses, but it will move it in the 3rd dimension. You will experience, your body will move, and you will live a completely different life.
I have an idea. Want to try it? Let me ask you a few questions. You respond to each with one sentence, one after another, like you. Do you want to? Whatever happens.
Okay.
Spel. What do you dream about?
To achieve it honestly,
The first one.
something that comes to my mind. I'm telling you, what I know and have felt and has passed through me to be able to inject it into everyone, as many people as possible.
What is the meaning of life?
All right, but to stay alive, even though you're dead, well said. Just like I killed myself, for me to discover my true self.
What is the person looking for?
All his life, consciously and unconsciously, all his life, a person is searching for God. But he looks for him in the wrong place.
Where is God?
Inside you, not outside you. God is... I wrote that somewhere. I don't know, maybe I wrote it somewhere on the channel. I said it. The person? The Holy Grail. The physical body is the Holy Grail, which the church and humanity is searching. And they wrongly think it's a cup. Absolutely all universal knowledge is poured into the human being.
And why are we here?
We are here to find out who we are.
And where are we?
We are at the center of the universe.
Very well said.
And the universe, it's inside us. You know, like those Russian Matryoshka dolls, one inside another, that's exactly how the higher dimensions have descended and embedded information. Open the big Matryoshka, find a smaller one. Keep opening, each one is smaller until you're the smallest. You are at the center of the universe. And this whole universe, all its information is inside you, embedded.
For all the people who listen to your story with great interest and passion, and to what you are sharing with all of us today, for which I sincerely thank you. if you have the opportunity, not just the planet, the entire universe should hear you now.
Right at this moment, and
To know that this moment will truly be remembered forever, you have the chance to be heard. What am I saying?
Never be afraid. You are eternal. Eternal. Infinite, multidimensional beings. You are absolutely perfect. You just don't know it yet.
Abo, and thanks to Valia for this magnificent performance.
Thank you too.
It was
A real pleasure for me.
a real pleasure for me.